Welcome to this episode of Being the Best Version of Yourself. I'm your host, Dr. Carey Heller. Today, we're going to talk about creativity. And why does creativity matter? Creativity matters for at least several different reasons. Certainly there's probably endless possible reasons of why creativity is important, especially given the flexibility of creativity. In terms of a couple of real simple reasons, it often can be fun. For a lot of people, it may be part of their identity. It can be useful for business, and the list goes on and on. It helps with mental flexibility in different ways. Improving brain functioning over time theoretically. I'm sure there's probably research I know there's research that supports that in different ways. So the point is, there's lots of different reasons why creativity matters. Obviously, the bigger question is for you as a listener, as an individual person, why does creativity matter for you? With creativity, one of the big questions that comes up is how or why does creativity sometimes get stopped? So why can someone just not always be creative in that moment when they want to be, or in some cases need to be? So a couple common reasons why creativity can sometimes get inhibited is perfectionism, having to focus or not focusing narrowly enough on something, and so there's so many ideas flowing you can't rein them in. Other times, there's nothing that really sparks ideas. So it's just, again, there's this idea of it's too broad an area to think about I'm going to come up with this idea, but the possibilities are endless, and so I can't sort of focus it in. Stress can sometimes impact things if you're under a lot of pressure to do something a certain way. Or, in general, if you think about it, you're not functioning cognitively in the same way when you're stressed. So your decision-making is different. You may narrow in on certain stuff, or your mind may be clouded with things that are bothering you. So again, these are things that can certainly impact creativity. Same thing with anxiety, being really nervous, whether it's about the act of whatever you're doing yourself, or maybe it creates more of a guardedness in some way, or even, feelings like shame, guilt, other stuff for a variety of reasons for different people can come up where sometimes, these things can really inhibit creativity. In terms of channeling creativity, a couple of kind of key principles for helping you to be more creative is one, be in the right mindset. For you have to figure out, what does that actually mean? I realize that's a very general concept, but you have to figure out for yourself, what motivates you? Is it about the time of day that you're doing something at? Is it about the location that you're at? Or do you need music of some kind, or something that kind of creates a mood or a mindset to be able to get into essentially that right mindset? For some people, a big issue is that they almost have too many mental filters in terms of saying, oh, this idea is not good, or I can't do this, or it's just whatever the filter is, it sometimes sort of stops this natural feeling of just whatever comes to mind. And so that's where sometimes using strategies that relax the mental filters. So kind of this, one idea is a free association activity where you essentially just, let your mind wander to whatever you want and just, write, draw, whatever comes out, or, give yourself something to prime your mind. So for example, come up with certain keywords and then just write down the first word that comes to mind, even if it seems ridiculous based on whatever the word is. But sometimes, that is kind of a way that helps to get some ideas flowing. So maybe if you say things like, I don't know, you can start with sort of simple things like brother, sister, parent, school, camp, painting, drawing, shame, guilt. Pick whatever the category is and just see what comes up. You may be surprised that in some ways things you hadn't really thought about actually come up, and in turn kind of generates all of these different ideas. But again, it really depends what you're actually trying to channel with the creativity. There's probably a big difference between doing something for fun because you enjoy it, like let's say painting, or taking for pictures, versus having to do something creative, let's say advertising for work. So again, the motivation can often be different and help dictate in some ways what kind of tool might be best. As you can see from some of my discussions on this, with channeling creativity, there's really no one-size-fits-all strategy for helping yourself to be creative when you need to be or want to be. It's really a matter of figuring out what helps you to do what you want to do in these moments. And at the same time, recognizing what also stops you from doing that. Because if you can create the environment and whatever else you need to channel that creativity and also minimize the things that are going to stop it, the two of them put together will oftentimes create sort of the best optimal environment for channeling and exhibiting and essentially getting out the creativity in whatever way makes the most sense and is really most helpful for yourself and whatever goals you may have on this. Or obviously, if really it's for fun, there's really no goal-oriented activity, that's perfectly fine as well, because the idea here is to do something that's meaningful to you or necessary based on whatever you're trying to do. I mean, that's one of the great things about flexibility is there's endless possibilities of what you can do and also even why you do it. So just something to think about as you're thinking about this idea, especially if you're interested in either being more creative in some way, whether it's finding a new hobby in order to accomplish this, drawing, painting, graphic design. I mean, creativity is such a broad category that there's so much that you can do with it. All right, so we've talked a lot about creativity today, and I mean, there's so much more I could probably talk about, but the idea really with this podcast is keep things often brief, because a lot of people are busy and really don't have time to listen to a really long podcast. So the idea here is, thinking about from, the time you walk from your car, into wherever you work, or you go for a quick walk with a dog, or whatever you're doing stuff around the house. The idea is, get some, useful information in a short period of time, which hopefully is at least somewhat entertaining, but the idea here is really to help you whatever you're seeking and need assistance with. So I hope that this podcast episode has been helpful. And certainly if there are other topics you'd like to hear about, feel free to DM me on being the best version of yourself on Instagram or send me an email. And I'm more than happy if it's a topic that makes sense to talk about to try to address a future episode to it. Until next time, I'm your host, Dr. Kerry Heller.